They say being alone is sad, that solitude means loneliness, that people who prefer silence must be missing something in their lives. But what if it's the other way around? What if being alone isn't a weakness, but a hidden strength most people never discover? Because here's the truth. Some of the most grounded, self-aware, and creative minds in history were loners. Not because they hated people, but because they understood something most never do. When the world gets too loud, silence becomes sacred, while others fill every moment with noise, the music, chatter, screens. Loners learn to sit with themselves. They listen to the quiet hum of their thoughts, to the small voice that most people drown out. That's where they find insight. That's where they grow. Loners don't run from noise, they simply choose depth over distraction. They don't crave constant validation, and they crave understanding. And in the stillness of their own company, they find what others spend lifetimes searching for: clarity. The kind of clarity that reveals who you are beneath the masks. The kind that cuts through confusion and whispers truths you can't hear in a crowd. So no, being alone isn't a curse. It's a mirror. It reflects who you truly are when no one's watching, because in the quiet you don't lose yourself. You finally meet yourself and realize you were never really alone at all. Inside the mind of a loner, there's an entire universe. Not the empty kind that echoes with loneliness, but a living, breathing landscape of thoughts, questions, and quiet revelations. They don't just see the world, they study it. Every glance, every word, every silence, it all means something. While others move fast, chasing the next thing, loners slow down long enough to notice the patterns most people miss. They can spend hours replaying a single moment, not out of obsession, but understanding. Because for them, everything connects. Every emotion has a root, every decision has a shadow. To an outsider, that might seem like overthinking, but to a deep-thinking loner, it's exploration. It's their way of navigating a noisy, unpredictable world. They find comfort in the spaces between the late-night thoughts, the walks without destination, the moments where the only sound is their own heartbeat syncing with silence. And somewhere in that quiet, they process the things most people run from: pain, loss, doubt, purpose. But here's the secret. It's in facing those things alone that they evolve. That's where their empathy comes from. That's where their creativity blooms. Because solitude doesn't empty their mind, it sharpens it. It turns isolation into introspection, and introspection into wisdom. For loners, the silence isn't the absence of life. It's where life finally starts to make sense. Loners see the world through a different lens. Where others react, they reflect. Where most people seek noise, they search for meaning. You see, when you spend enough time in your own company, your thoughts stop echoing what the world tells you and start revealing what you truly believe. That's why loners often develop a sharper sense of awareness. They don't just follow the current, they question it. They ask why everyone is moving in the same direction and what really lies beneath the surface of things. This isn't arrogance, it's independence. It's the quiet rebellion of a mind that refuses to be shaped by the crowd. In solitude, a loner learns to think without filters, to explore ideas deeply, to feel emotions fully, to see connections others miss entirely. That's why many great thinkers, inventors, and artists were solitary souls, because solitude gives birth to original thought. It's the workshop of genius, the place where ideas can grow without the noise of judgment. While others fear silence, loners have learned to make peace with it, to turn it into a space where imagination thrives. They don't need a crowd to feel alive. Their mind is their company, their thoughts and their companions. And in that quiet space between overthinking and understanding, they uncover something most people never do: the power of seeing life as it truly is. There's a quiet kind of strength that lives inside people who are often alone. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It just endures. Because when you face life without a crowd behind you, you learn how to stand on your own. You learn that peace doesn't come from others. It comes from within. Loners don't depend on constant reassurance to feel whole. They face their thoughts, the fears, the doubts, the noise, and survived every single one of them. That's emotional courage. the kind that doesn't need an audience. When the world feels chaotic, loners become their own calm. They know how to sit with discomfort, how to listen to their emotions instead of running from them. They understand that healing doesn't always happen through people. Sometimes it happens in silence, and it's in that silence that they grow stronger. Bit by bit, quietly and visibly, they might look distant, but inside them is a universe of empathy, awareness, and wisdom. Because when you've walked through your own storms alone, you start recognizing the rain in others too. That's why loners often carry a gentleness the world can't explain, and they've battled within and found peace. Without, they don't just survive solitude, they master it. And in doing so, they discover something rare, a kind of strength that no one can take away. At some point, everyone will find themselves alone. Some will panic, some will feel lost, but the ones who understand solitude, they'll smile quietly because they know it's not emptiness they're stepping into. It's space to think, to heal, to rebuild. To simply be. Loners have discovered something the world constantly forgets, that when you're alone, you stop performing. You stop trying to impress, to fit in, to be enough. And that's when you finally start being real. It's in those moments of silence that ideas are born, dreams take shape, and self-awareness blooms. Because when you stop listening to the noise outside, you start hearing the truth inside. That's the hidden power of being alone. You stop chasing the world and start finding yourself. So if you've ever felt like the odd one out, like you think too deeply or feel too much, understand this: you're not broken. You're just tuned in. And that frequency, it's rare, it's powerful. It's yours. Take time for yourself. Protect your silence. And never apologize for needing space, and because that's where your soul breathes. If this message spoke to you, hit like, share it with someone who gets it, and subscribe for more deep dives into the mind and soul. Because sometimes the quietest people have the loudest truths to tell.